Hello everybody, welcome to Story Time. I hope you're all well and are ready to listen to today's story, which is called The Rainbow Fairy. So are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Have you ever wondered where rainbows come from? Well, in the land of the fairies lived the Rainbow Fairy. Now, the Rainbow Fairy has a very, very special job. It's her job to put a rainbow in the sky after it has been raining. Then she has to take it back again down later. She keeps the rainbows in a box. A very special box. And after it has been raining, she opens the box and whoosh, the rainbow flies up into the sky. Then, when it's time for the rainbow to come back down again, the Rainbow Fairy blows her magic horn. Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. And the rainbow flies back down and into the box. But one day the Rainbow Fairy woke up and she did not feel very well at all. She had an aching head and she was coughing and she was achoo, achoo, sneezing, and she had a very, very sore throat. You've guessed it, the Rainbow Fairy had flu. She decided that she'd better stay in bed that day. Now, living next door to the Rainbow Fairy was another fairy. A very nosy fairy. She was always nosing into other people's business. And that morning she noticed that the Rainbow Fairy had not opened her curtains. The Rainbow Fairy had not been out into the garden picking flowers. The Rainbow Fairy was nowhere about. The nosy fairy wondered what had happened. The nosy fairy, being very nosy, decided to find out. And so she went right up to the Rainbow Fairy's door and she knocked loudly. Knock, 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 knock. Rainbow Fairy, are you in? She called. No answer. The nosy fairy looked through the letterbox. Cooey! Rainbow Fairy! She called. But still no answer. The Rainbow Fairy was tucked up in bed under the covers and she couldn't hear her. Then the nosy fairy saw through the letterbox the beautiful little box that the rainbows were kept in. It was sitting on the kitchen table. The nosy fairy had always wondered what the rainbows looked like when they were in the box. Were they all folded up in hundreds of times? Or were they shrunk down to mini-sized rainbows? Or were they all just smooshed up in a great big jumble? This was her chance to find out, thought the nosy fairy. The nosy fairy very quietly opened the door and tiptoed into the kitchen. She went right up to the box and then she opened it just to have a little quick peek inside. But as soon as the box opened just a tiny bit, a rainbow whooshed out right up into the sky. And because it was not and had not been raining, the nosy fairy knew that there would be trouble if anyone found out what she'd done. She tried everything to get that rainbow back into the box. She shouted and she screamed. She begged and she cried. But nothing worked because she did not have the magic horn. Eventually, the nosy fairy gave up and went back to her own house to hide. Now, in the royal palace, the queen of the fairies saw the rainbow up in the sky. "What is the rainbow fairy up to?" she thought. "It hasn't been raining today, and there's a rainbow in the sky." The queen of the fairies decided to go and find out. She went to the rainbow fairy's house and she knocked on the door. Knock, 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 knock. No answer, because the rainbow fairy was still under the covers in bed. The queen of the fairies opened the door and went in. "Rainbow fairy," she called. And from upstairs came a very croaky "Hello." The queen of the fairies went upstairs and found Rainbow Fairy in her bed. "What's going on?" said the queen. "Why have you put a rainbow in the sky when it isn't raining? And it hasn't been raining either." "I didn't put a rainbow in the sky," croaked the Rainbow Fairy. "Well, there is one there now," said the queen. When the Rainbow Fairy saw the rainbow in the sky, she immediately took her magic horn, and because she had a very sore throat, she could only manage a very small toot on the horn. But that was enough, and the rainbow whooshed back down and into the box, and the Rainbow Fairy closed the box with a bang. Well, the Queen of Fairies soon worked out what had happened, and she went next door to the nosy fairy's house and she knocked on the door. Knock, 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 knock. The nosy fairy opened the door with a very sheepish look on her face. "Nosy fairy, did you put that rainbow in the sky?" asked the queen. "Yes," said the nosy fairy. "I only wanted to see what they looked like in the box, and I couldn't help it. I couldn't get it back in, and I'm sorry." "Well," said the queen, "that was a very naughty thing to do, and I'm going to punish you. But your punishment will suit you very well, as you are so nosy. I'm going to give you a job, and your job will be to fly all around the world every night and look under the pillow of every child. And if you find a tooth there, you must leave some money and bring the tooth back to me." And that is the story of how the Tooth Fairy got her job. So the next time you see a rainbow, remember this story. And when it comes to the time you've got a wobbly tooth and the tooth comes out and you put it under your pillow, remember, the nosy fairy was the one that became the Tooth Fairy. I hope you enjoyed your story, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.